terrible right now, but in general, I feel great.
I shouldn't start talking weight loss because my fans will be like, "We just shut the fuck up about it already." Because I kind of have I have a separate channel that's all about weight loss stuff because I used to weigh 500 pounds, and
Wait,
so
what? You did?
Time out.
Hold on,
so that's
up.
why
No
that's
way.
why last year when you guys were dealing with all of the what, I was just on the sidelines going, "Come on, dude, just get your shit together." But
Congratulations to you for doing it.
Holy
Great
cow.
job. Excellent.
but like,
500.
Wait, walk us through that tale. 'Cause I'm
Yeah,
interested in this now.
Hold the train. Stop the train.
okay, so let's see, my biggest I was 494. That was in 2009.
Oh, so you were exaggerating about this whole thing.
You couldn't push it.
Oh,
No.
500.
Just get that.
Couldn't get the last 6.
Jesus Christ, I was impressed.
Well, but fully clothed, there was like 6 pounds of denim to cover that body. So,
all right.
but no, I mean, I'm not even embarrassed to say. I mean, I did have a weight loss surgery in 2009. But here's the thing: I lost a lot of weight, and I put a lot of it back on. So to get back down to where I am now, I had to do it very natural because I had like stretched my stomach back out and everything, and I wasn't going to go through that again. So that's why I said I started eating right. I cut out soda. I cut out a lot of the fatty foods and stuff. But I started being active. I started, like I said, I do the cycling and stuff. So that's like my lifestyle now. And the fact that I'm self-employed, I can get up in the morning and go out for a 30 or 50 mile bike ride. And I do that every day.
Shit.
So it's just a lot of hard work now.
That is
But-
a lot of saddle time.
Better shape than all of us.
Now you know why I need
people
the.
go from fat to fit. That's
Now we
very
know
great.
why the bag bomb is
Now
necessary.
you know why the chamois butter, right?
Yeah.
How many miles a week do you
When
go?
you're strapping
Like
in for
250?
50 miles plus, you want those balls
Right.
did chamois butter.
I just stepped up my weekly up to 200. I'm trying 200 miles a week, but it started at 50 and then 100 and 150, and now we're at 200.
Oh, that's great.
So-
My car doesn't do that,
Oh.
man. That's
No,
congratulations.
that's the thing now though, is I tell people all the time, I'm in my bike more than I am my car now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull up a before picture for you guys here because I tell people that all the time. They're like, no fuck away, you weren't, such and such.
So how did you get big?
Yeah.
In high school and in college, I was really athletic. I played football from age 8 through 21. I played up through college. And we were doing 2-a-days. We were doing summer drills. I mean, I was eating 6,000 calories a day, but I was also working out 4.5 hours a day.
What position did you play?
I was actually a right tackle.
Okay.
But I was actually the smallest right tackle on the offensive line. I was 6'4" and about 260. And then I used to coach tennis. So I would, on the off season for football, I would coach tennis. So I would slim down to about 210. So I yo-yoed back and forth for sports, back and forth to get into the right shape for the sport. And then once I stopped sports, the appetite didn't go away. So it took about 5 years, but I just kept gaining weight every single year.
Wow.
So
That's not that uncommon for college athletes.
Yeah.
no, I mean, look at all the pro or former NFL players. They're like all fat. I mean, you look at
Yeah,
these
you
Hall
see
of
it all the
Famers,
time.
they're all like super big. But I mean, I've sat and hovered around the back and forth between 290 and 310 now for the last 3.5 years, and I finally said, "Fuck it, I've had enough of this." I got tired of every video I did. People like, "Wow, Jay, you're getting fatter." Like I was gaining weight, and you could see it on the videos. You could see the progression of Jay's getting super fat again, and so the haters fueled my desire to make a change. But then the supporters are what kept me going. So in the last 2.5 months, I've already lost 40.9 pounds in 2 months.
Nice.
So we're only 40 pounds now from my ideal weights of 220. I'm just over 260 right now.
Wow.
Great.
So what was your trek? Because you said you went from huge, lost a bunch when you had the surgery, and then you got bigger from there. So how big did you get after the surgery before you were then like, oh, let's cut it back down? Was that the 290, 310 thing you were talking about?
I had gotten all the way back up to 330. But then I started being able to kind of keep things plateaued right around the 300 mark, plus or minus about 10 pounds either way. But the thing was, I had my second child, and so I was doing the YouTube thing full time. I was working full time, so eating habits were just right. I was grabbing fast food or anything out of the frozen section that I could anytime I needed to eat. So I wasn't fueling; I was just eating whatever, and then I wasn't sleeping. So all those things factored into weight gain again. So I just got to the point literally where I had enough, and I watched the way things were going down with Wings, and I tried rooting for him, but I just said, you know what, I'm going to just do this for me, fuck it, and literally overnight made a change on January 26th of this year, and the progress has just been insane.
Good for
Well,
you, man.
I hate
Congrats.
talking
Awesome.
about it. I know, like, it just kind of flowed out, but it's because I've had this conversation a dozen times now, like on camera. But I don't like sounding preachy because I know what it's like. I know what Wings was going through, and I know what Boogie's going through, and because I know Boogie personally, he and I chat about it all the time. It's no different than addiction to smoking or drinking or drugs or whatever. It's a different chemical thing in your head that you can step away from that stuff. You can't step away from food. So it's the opportunity of slipping is always there.
I have my own opinion on that, and I haven't been as big as these guys, but like, okay, it's addicting. I get that, but I think it's addicting in the same way that like the internet is or gaming is. Like there aren't the same kind of withdrawals that you might suffer from like cigarettes or heroin or what have you. And the other part of it I sometimes hear, which is like, hey, it's easier to quit cigarettes because you don't have to have a cigarette, but I have to have a food. I have to have food. It's not an excuse, guy, because I feel like you might have to have food, but you don't have to have Hungry Men. You don't have to have two plates. You don't have to have like
those come down to habits. That's entirely habits. And the thing is, we make excuses for our habits all the time, and then we start justifying, just this once, or whatever. And then you start coming up with the excuses of, I have a thyroid, or I'm addicted, and you start using it as your out. But that's really what it took for me to start getting this to work again, was realizing, you know what, there's no one to fucking blame for my situation but me, and I'm the one in charge of this. So it took probably a good 30 days of just, no matter how much I wanted to go have a pizza or something, to just be like, no, today I'm having my proteins and I'm having my sweet potato, and I'm just going to do it. And then after about a month, it became programmed to where the rest just kind of fell into place, and it's on autopilot now. When right now, when you guys were like, hey, the show is starting, and I was a little bit late, I was like, oh fuck, I was in the kitchen eating a salad. Because I just finished our podcast and my wife made me a salad and I was eating that, and I enjoyed that food now. So once you reprogram yourself, it's the reprogramming yourself that's hard. And I don't make excuses for me or anyone else, but I at least can empathize the mindset. But I also am of the mindset that there's no person on here that can overcome whatever it is that you're dealing with, as long as you actually train yourself to do it.
Another thing that I think is true, and you probably will too, is that someone else can't fix you. Right, it has to come from internally. There are a fair amount of people that have asked me to fix Wings. Kyle gave it a go. I don't know if you saw the boot camp stuff.
I watched those many times, over and over. Not for the reasons that Kyle, that you were doing with Jordy, but
for the laughs, though, right? Yeah.
Well, at the time, when I was going through my weight gain again, and I was kind of looking for like just the mindset. I was like, okay, Kyle's fit. Why is Kyle fit and why is Jordy not? Why am I not? What's different? What's different about your life versus mine, and why isn't it working? And then it just came to realize that none of it was working because I kept looking outside. Well, what's Kyle doing? Well, why isn't it working for me? Well, because I wasn't doing what Kyle's doing. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't exercising. So, of course, the result is going to be...
Please don't make me a good example for eating right.
No.
I just don't. I don't know why I'm able to get away with it. I skip a lot of meals, for one thing, I think. But
then that's why, dude.
I just put a picture in the Skype there, by the way.
Wow. That's not even recognizable.
That was me when my first daughter was born.
Incredible.
So that was 2009.
Wow.
Yesterday, I'm trying to remember what I ate yesterday, but I think it involved, I made yellow rice, which is like yellow rice and like a can of black beans and a can of like diced tomatoes. That was lunch. I ate a large pizza for like second lunch. There was a Taco Bell extravaganza, as I like to call it, in the evening, which is basically go to Taco Bell and spend about $25. I ate like half it's so much. I ate like half the fucking menu. And then, like, at night, I guess it was like 1 in the morning. I was hungry again, so I had a French fry extravaganza. So I basically just fried 4 potatoes and covered those with my own special salt recipe.
4 potatoes?
4
I
potatoes.
don't believe it.
Maniac.
Like here's what I think.
I'm not done. There was oatmeal too. Too. I make my own like apple cinnamon oatmeal. I grate the apples on a cheese grater, and yeah, I had my oatmeal around 2 in the morning.
This is the reason that fat people think that they eat the same as thin people like Kyle is that Kyle rattles these off like a tale of extravagance. Like, you need to realize that this is not the norm. And then when Kyle goes out to get a big burger and he has a fat friend there, that fat friend thinks, oh, Kyle eats like this all the time. This is what Kyle eats. So then they rationalize because they don't realize that Kyle's skipping meals
Lots of them.
way more often than other people, and eating way less, just a quick handful of almonds here and there, just to get through the day, stuff like that. I don't know.
Clearly,
what your
his diet's not perfect, right? We're not going to pretend he is a disciplined.
Nobody's diets are perfect. I mean, I have a personal trainer that I've been working with for 3 years, so that's what I do my strength training with. So I cycle 5 days a week, and then I do lifting 3 times a week. And my trainer, he's a 2-time Mr. California bodybuilding champion. So he's a bodybuilder, and he understands diet and how to fuel and how to feed your body. So he helped me come up with a plan that had plenty of deviations that weren't going to hurt me. But we came to the conclusion that 1 or 2 cheat meals a week is fine, where I can just go out and be like, okay, for this meal, as long as I'm not eating a smorgasbord, then I can just not worry about it, because 95% of my fueling is proper, so it's not going to hurt me. But you have to, if you're watching this right now and you're overweight and you're thinking, well, then I can do that. You have to ask yourself a serious question, though. Can you have that one meal and not fall off the wagon? If you're the kind of person that can have that one meal and then you're just going to be craving that next one and that's all you're thinking about, having that cheat meal is probably not a good idea, because you can't necessarily reward yourself with what you're damaging yourself with if you can't control it. And let's face it, if you get up to as big as I was, or whatever, then obviously there was a time when you couldn't control it. So you got to be honest about it.
It's almost like a food war. Food Wars, by the way, is one of the featured shows that Crunchyroll wants you guys to know about this month, along with Naruto and Sailor Moon Crystal. That's right, crunchyroll.com/PKA. You get free for 30 days, 1080p quality. Doesn't matter what device you're using. It literally works on every conceivable device. And it's approved by Duct Tape Man himself. So go check him out and get a month for free.
Goddamn, best segue in the history of Painkiller already.
Oh yeah, great time for an ad read. But anyway, back to you, Jay. So I was curious about this because I've heard about the weight loss surgery, the lap band is what it's called, correct?
No, I had a Roux-en-Y, which was a bypass.
Okay.
There's several of them. What did you have again?
It's called a Roux-en-Y. It's a full bypass. So my entire large intestine's bypassed.
Okay,
oh,
so
wow.
Did they just pull it out like the old one?
Pretty much. It's like almost like a horror movie. It's like, we'll undo this, we'll tie this, and it's all laparoscopic. But the thing is, when I first got it, it was like, okay, I just had a car accident 4 or 5 months prior to that, which was nearly fatal. It took 8 firefighters to get me on the gurney. Then the gurney wouldn't stay locked down in the ambulance while they were transporting to the trauma center because I was too heavy for the gurney. It kept trying to tip over because just the wheels lock in. And so it ended up being 4 firefighters in the ambulance just to keep the thing upright. They couldn't get an IV in me because they were too busy struggling with holding me down. So that was like my final straw, where I was like, okay, fine. I don't care about the judgment calls. I want to live. My wife was 3 months pregnant with my first daughter at the time. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I don't care about the judgment. I just want to live longer. But then I didn't change anything. I was like, oh, cool, I've got this magic wand now, and I'm going to be this magic fat loss machine, and I can eat whatever I want. And that worked for the first year and a half. But the thing is, over time, when you start introducing more and more foods to your diet, and the surgeon told me, too, he's like, this is not a fix. This is a tool. And if you use the tool improperly, you will gain your weight back. We've all heard about these people who've gained all their weight back after surgery.
My brother did it.
And I was on my way there. So... I'm sorry, Merc. I forgot what your question actually was. But
he asked about the surgery.
Oh no, continue.
No, I would get this negative reinforcement. Like if I ate something that was fatty or sugary, I'd get like super sick, right? I would just feel like I never threw up, but I'd feel like throwing up. I was sweating. I was having palpitations. Total reaction, which was what the surgery is designed to do. It's designed to negatively reinforce the stuff you shouldn't eat. But then I got to the point where I built up a tolerance to it and just powered through it. That's how bad my eating habits were.
What were your favorite bad foods?
I was never really that much into fatty foods, but I was a sweetaholic, like ice cream, chocolate, just like Hot Pockets, things like that. Just things that for the most part.
Hot Pockets are pretty good.
I heard they use horse meat.
Yeah. I don't care.
Well,
none of it.
But was there a point when you were after you'd gotten the surgery where, like, was there a definitive point ever where you were eating a lot more than you knew you were supposed to and you could feel it getting uncomfortable and then you just chose to forge ahead? Or was it such an addiction that it was like you didn't even notice you were just doing what you were doing?
You know what happened was you could only eat so much, like small portions. But I would eat every hour or two, which is actually the way it's designed to work, but you're supposed to eat every hour or two the proper foods in small portions. But the thing was I would eat one piece of pizza and then another piece of pizza an hour later. And then by the end of the day, the whole pizza's gone plus whatever I ate in between. Mm-hmm. So the eating habits didn't change, just the quantities. But over time, you'll hear the term like, oh, they stretch their stomach back out. What actually happens is the part of this is kind of the part of the intestine that they attach to your stomach, that starts to stretch out and become longer, like a clown balloon. Think of it like that. So you start to make an artificial stomach that's bigger. Then you can eat more, and you can eat more. And then over time, you eventually pass that deficit where you're eating more calories than you're burning. So over time, you just slowly creep it back. So you have a sudden fall and then like a gradual, incline again.
That's the thing that I think young people don't get. Like, you don't have to misbehave too badly to gain 3/4 of a pound a month.
Yeah, and then long term,
and that's 9 pounds a year. Then you let 5 years go by, and all of a sudden you're 45 pounds more than you were before, and you've done a thing. And it was only.
And if you had this surgery in your 20s and you're expected to live, 70s or 80s, and it's say 5 to 10 pounds a year, look how it won't be long before you're obese again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the cool thing is, like, I'm kind of living proof though that tool is still there, no matter what you do. That as long as you start like using it right again, exercising and eating right, then the results can be really good and they'll flip around. And now I can't eat nearly as much as I could 3 months ago because when you're eating right